time drinking in the corner of my own place at school, which, you know, it's something that today I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I eventually did finish school with a social work degree. Believe it or not, I'm still in school at 31 years of age. But that's been one of the 9-step promises. I should not have finished school. I really, I don't, at times, wonder what some of these papers that after you're, you know, being in the psych unit and the doctors, you know, for sure that I would never come out of this hallucination. I was in the psych unit for 10 days, and it was something in the area of 28 hits, because my friend took one drop of this LSD, and he went off like it was between 4 and 5. And I remember driving the 275 loop. I don't know if anybody else has those loops. And because I knew the cops were following us, and we had, you know, different, I knew that there was a mic in my car, I knew there was a camera. I mean, I was all over the place, paranoid. And that stuff doesn't go away very quickly, by the way, either. It's something that can stick with you until the step work is done. And when I had a sponsor take me through my 4th step, the first time I read my 4th column to him, I was reading it out loud. And a lot of stuff came up, you know, a lot of those amends that I swore I would finish. And I eventually did. Now, I did have to drink. I began working the steps backwards. And what that looks like for me is I'm doing my 9th step, and he said me to go ahead and do 10, 11, maybe 12. And I couldn't do 12 at that point. I had not drank enough, and I did not have the willingness. So I didn't have to meditate. I was like, fuck this. It was terrible. You know, I'd sit down, I'd try to get quiet. It's like when I try to get quiet today, even, when I don't write at night, you know. I tried that today, actually, and it's a challenge. You know, the mind of the alcoholic and wanting to control everything is paramount. It creeps in at all kinds of different times. So I no longer had to do 10 and 11. I stopped doing 9. I'm like, I don't really have to do all these amends, do I? I mean, seriously, like any lengths or whatever he was talking about. I've been sober a year and a half. Then I stopped doing the 8th steps. I'm like, if I don't need to make amends, why do I need to write up the list? Then I didn't have any shortcomings, you know. I'm like, man, I mean, these people are just real nitpicky, and I mean, shortcomings. So I didn't have anything to share with my sponsor. I didn't have any written inventory, so I didn't have to do 4 and 5. I didn't have to, you know, finish the 5th step with him. And why write the 4th step anyway? It's just like, he's kind of overzealous, and, you know, like, I'm not that resentful. Like, I just kind of get pissed off. I don't need anger management. You need to stop pissing me off. So I don't need a 3rd step anymore. I take my power back from God, which is kind of what I described in the first place between 8th and 9th grade. What I was trying to do with alcohol was really control. You know, I'm powerful over alcohol, and it works as something to shut the mind down, to stop the insanity. Well, the 2nd step, insanity returns rather than being taken away, and I'm no longer powerless. I'm powerful over alcohol. And that's the delusion, you know, because I drank as if I had never stopped drinking alcohol for even a month, let alone over a year at that point. I mean, it was off to the races. So I'm grateful for having drank enough at that time, because I really needed it. I needed to see, once I started drinking alcohol, I could not stop. And when I did stop, I didn't know how long I was going to be stopped for. It could be a month, it was a year, over a year at that point. Sometimes it was a couple weeks. You know, I'd always come in, and I don't know if anybody has that experience where they're like, who's got like 24 hours? And I'm like, nah, I'm not raising my hand this time. And who's got a month, you know, and I just kind of roll with it that you know, I was still kind of sober. My sponsor was put into class with me in my few months that I was drinking, believe it or not. And it was hilarious because the room was probably about as big as this dance floor, and it was a theology class at Xavier, and I'd always come in late so I could see if he was sitting over there, I want to sit right here because I'd smell, and I didn't want him to smell me. He knew I was drinking. He had no doubt in his mind that I was drinking alcohol, but I thought I was fooling him the way I was fooling my mom, even the authorities for a while. But now I was out on my own in college. I got that the poster that said college with the guy with the bottle, and maybe it's from Animal House, and I got even a Pink Floyd Prism stuff to remind me of the fun days when I could handle hallucinogens and it didn't put me into the psych ward, and got a few other things, and the blessing of actually completing the amends the next time around is I don't have to work the steps backwards all the way back to 1 now. I do work them backwards to almost 2, 3, and 4, even to the point where I'm insane. But thank God I have good people in my life nowadays, people that I can be accountable to. And I'm thinking, I steal a lot of quotes from other leads and other, we mentioned Facebook, and what a nightmare for amends. By the way, Facebook is a nightmare for amends, things that come up. But I steal quotes from, people's walls, old sponsors, Drywall Dan's Facebook page, and other people that are, in the program. My sponsors lead, because it's something that they wrote 75 years ago. I guess the book was published in 1939, so it's been 71 years. And it's these same things, it's a mindfulness practice. Doing the steps is a mindfulness practice. And, I was able to choose a God of my own understanding that works through you people. I'm grateful for every person in this room because you guys keep me accountable. God works through each and every one of us. And that's an important thing for me. That's really important because without it, I'm screwed. I'm either in the psych ward where my mom sent the priest to give me communion, so they thought I was getting an exorcist. I'm either in the psych ward getting an exorcist, and that was like the joke for so long. Like, he's getting an exorcist. That was a priest. And I did get communion in the psych ward, and I also get locked up, get the mug shots, go to 2020, and self-will run riot. The opposite of that being, from service to self, which is for years I did. For the years I drank, and yeah, it was a short several years that I did. But I see us who came in our 20s and our 30s as the sickest of the bunch. We progressed that quickly that bottom hit, and it's something that we all have a unique story with it, but the one common thing we have is that common solution. That's why at the beginning I wanted to make sure we read some of the stuff that I didn't see as so important for a long time. Actually, the steps and, beginning with the steps, I didn't really see the point of working the steps. The concepts, the traditions, I seriously didn't understand the traditions piece. And then even recently when my sponsor suggested end of the concepts and concept 11, I don't have to convince anyone of our spiritual way of life. It doesn't have to be shoved down their throat. I don't have to run people down. Now, I do believe in 12-step calls and people doing our 12-step work. And the reason why we have some drug and alcohol rehab centers, which I'm grateful for as they introduced me to AA, is because I'm not doing enough 12-step calls. And it's funny because I swore I would never work in a rehab facility. And as of the current moment, I am employed for adolescent counseling in a rehab facility. And I swore I would never. In social work, that's where our practicum was. And it was terrible. Our 90% failure rate, I swore I would never go into it. And sure enough, God had a different plan, and it said a lot. If I want to make God laugh, tell him my plans. And I do that a lot. I was trying to do it with the room earlier today. I was trying to do it with the family. as I was trying to get quiet and like work all 12 steps here, because yeah, I've actually done some of the inventory when this thing has come up at all different times. It's like, do inventory, do inventory, do inventory. And my sister's calling, Mom just fell. This was 2 hours ago. She's got to get stitches on her forehead, and we need you to come down here now. And I'm like, well, I kind of committed to something tonight, and I just wondered if you could call one of my other 4 siblings, to help you out, Dad. And thank God they did, but that's one of the blessings of Alcoholics Anonymous today. I would have been the last on that phone call list, years ago. I would have been, really, it would have been me getting the stitches on my forehead. I've gotten stitches everywhere, and it's mostly alcohol related or self-will run riot related, you can even say, as a kid, just having to stand out. And the steps flip that backwards for me from service to self on to doing service to others. I've been really, really blessed to see the importance of the traditions. I had a sponsor recommend. I've lived with different alcoholics over the past 12 years now, actually, all in a duplex house, in an apartment, in an intern house, and even at my own home. And all the resentment inventory I've written about it exceeds lists. And my sponsor one day recommended I use the 12 traditions as a way of living in the home, as we were all in Alcoholics Anonymous. And it worked, especially became self-supporting when bills came up, when the dishes came up, when, taking care of my mess. And my tendency is to think I'm more important than taking the time to do that so I can leave my mess for a week. And I don't care if it's in your way, it's not about you, it's about me. So the selfishness, supersedes when I'm not doing the step work and being able to do service to others. It supersedes, anything. And the 12 traditions, the 12 concepts he'd given me for a meditation, because I thought for a while I had to convince someone that our way of life was the only way you could get sober. And for some people that's not. They may not be you're alcoholic or drink the way I did, or have that once they start, they can't stop. But there's different things that work for different people, and I guess that's where the 12 concepts of world service came up and how we can pass this on. So I'm grateful for all those tidbits. In 1955 or whenever it was, they did the traditions, and in the 1990s, the concepts, because it is some of the glue that holds us together. This is something that otherwise I find myself, forcing that you got to read this while you're getting sober too, or you got to do it this way. The one thing that works in Alcoholics Anonymous, and here we share our experience, strength, and hope with each other, is what happened, what it was like, and what it's like today. And today we use some of that 7th tradition where we're self-supporting. We've gotten in the past month to put solar panels on the roof that we live at. We've got a wood stove, so if we don't want to pay a lot on the heat bill, we can fire up the wood stove. There's a cistern and plants outside, and it's kind of a little commune of 12-step workers. My friend has been in recovery for 10 years. I've had other friends and good friends. Now, a couple of us have drank, but about 10 of us have stayed sober out of that, and it's really cool to see. It's a blessing to see that, and a blessing to be here to share that with you guys tonight. That's all I've got.
John, for your strength and hope, and thanks for picking up the ball I dropped. Would you guys like to stand? We'll say Our Father.
We are in